let's get on to today's guest co-host, who is very much in the know when it comes to all things tech. Please welcome the head of editorial content at Wired Middle East, Carla Sertin, who's with us throughout the show. Carla, thank you so much indeed for being with us.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, listen, and exciting times as well. Exciting times for the tech industry, exciting times for Wired. I mean, Wired, obviously a brand that is known and respected the world over, but now part of Condé Nast's owned and operated portfolio here in the region, which I suppose in itself is an indicative of the tech narrative and the importance of this part of the world and just how much interest it's generating. If you were to choose one narrative for 2026 when it comes to tech, what is most exciting you looking forward?
Listen, I think you've hit it right on the head. It's the Middle East is investing in technology. You can talk about AI, you can talk about health tech, you can talk across, but it's investing and developing technology that is relevant on a global scale. And with Wired Middle East under Condé Nast's owned and operated portfolio in the region, we really have an opportunity to take that Middle East tech story and bring it to a global audience. And to me, that's what's most exciting, because I've worked in tech for a while. I see the great work that people in this region are doing, and this is a unique opportunity to take that work and put it on the scale that it really deserves.
And we're looking at tech now. So what's there's so many trends coming out, so many new programs coming out, so many new technologies. What's the trends that we're seeing from AI to Web3 and all that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously AI is the name of the game. You said you use ChatGPT all the time. You can't go a day without using it. That's becoming more and more common. I think not just on a personal level, but also on a business level. Businesses are looking for ways to use AI to develop agentic AI, which can create its own task lists and sort of execute tasks without any human intervention. How does that change our world? You know, we're living in an AI era, and that means everything changes alongside it. So that's obviously the biggest trend that you can see. In terms of Web3, I think it had its moment in 2022, and we haven't seen too much movement there. I do still hope that someday we see this great decentralized internet, but I think it still needs to cook for a while.
So I mentioned a little bit earlier that I'm not very tech savvy, but of course I'm sure there's lots of trends coming into 2026. What do you think are the key trends that we're going to be using every day and that are going to be accessible for people like Tom and I?
Well, you know what, I'll talk a little bit about foundational tech. So technology maybe you won't wear or use day to day, but that will affect you. There's a lot of health tech coming out which will impact the way you receive treatment. So the UAE and Qatar are both working on genome sequencing, which means really understanding individuals on a genetic level. That means, you know, what might work for you medically might not work for me. We're from different parts of the world, we live different lifestyles. So being able to provide healthcare on a tailored level, not a one size fits all, take a Panadol and go home, that's really a game changer. So that's actually technology that you will use and you don't need to be a AI whiz to get.
Okay.
What about this element of fear factor? The more I'm listening, the more I'm thinking, you know, and we've all basically asked the same question to you, Carla, which is what are the trends for this year, etc. Because this idea that we all need to be on top of those trends, and yet, as you've put it, you know, we live in a part of the world where there is a very young population, a young demographic. A lot of them are digital natives, a lot of them are digital savvy as well. I can attest for that, for having teenage kids. You know, they know much more than I do, and a lot more comfortable in that space. And yet, the older generation still sort of making this, we don't really get it, etc. Do we run this risk of a fear factor around tech and not being fully understanding of it?
You're absolutely right. I think this part of the world, it's a lower risk than other parts of the world, in part because governments, corporations, and individuals have really taken on this in full stride. There are other parts of the world where, you know, governments have been resistant to AI, or you've seen adoption move a little differently, so you don't get the buy-in of your people. But here, it's very obvious. People are investing in AI. We're pushing for AI. There's new applications every day that you can use, and you're using AI without even knowing it. I mean, you don't have to be on ChatGPT. It's on your phone. It's all over. So it is going to be integrated into your life, whether or not you're tech savvy. So
I've noticed that so often, you know, because I'm not tech savvy, but every time I ask a question of my phone or of the computer, AI is helping. Every time I order something online, AI is helping. You know, there are so many different ways they are helping us that we aren't even aware of.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just generative AI, it's not just chatbots, it's all over. There's machine learning, there's computer vision, there's so many different verticals. So I think that is the overarching tech trend, and it has been for quite some time. And I think we're just going to see that continue to grow.
But Carl, that's the thing that is now kind of like going into the danger zone of everyone thinking that whatever comes from AI is like the utmost truth. Like my parent, my mom and my aunt, like just Google everything on ChatGPT and just like get all the information like, oh, this is what it is, this is what it is. But that kind of creates a precedence of thinking that AI is fully right and there's no other solution except what AI says.
I'm with you. Ignore the maps. Just choose your own roads. Ignore the maps.
So how do we help with kind of combating that? And is there any ethical or that like ethical stages or steps that the government is taking to make sure that whatever is coming out of AI is to the benefit of the consumer and not kind of influencing the bad, negative side of that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think it's the same stuff we saw, you know, my parents, for them, it was YouTube. It wasn't ChatGPT. And for my grandma, it's Facebook. She sees anything on Facebook, she'll believe it because it's on the internet, right? So I think it's another tool, and it may also perpetuate misinformation, but it's not something new. So really the cure is media literacy, is for people to understand how do I research things? How do I verify sources? How do I make sure what I'm reading is true? Because you're right, ChatGPT and other AI chatbots don't present the truth fully. They may hallucinate, they may come up with false facts, or they may present things in a light that is not necessarily accurate.
It's also like the evolution of AI videos, where like my grandma's on Instagram and TikTok and she sees things.
Did you all see the AI
Grandma's more
bunny?
tech savvy than me.
She's always on her Instagram and TikTok and she shows like, look at Maytha, look, there's a kid that reciting, you know, a verse or anything. I was like, Granny, that's AI, but she doesn't know that. And a lot of people might take what's coming out on these social media platforms as accurate, and that's false representation of communities and cultures.
You're right, and I think that comes down to the platforms making sure they have the safeguards in place to mark AI-generated content, which we have seen some of the platforms start to introduce, but it's not necessarily everywhere. But I think that's the next step. And you know, as you say, it's on other entities, regulatory entities, to make sure that this is being enforced so that we know when we're looking at AI.
So off the back of what like Maytha's saying there, like with recognizing when things are not truthful and understanding that all of the information that is maybe fed to us via AI might not be accurate. Let's talk about the products. Like obviously, like Tom mentioned earlier there, the teleprompter glasses, and then you mentioned a computer where you put the glasses on. How are we educating people to use these types of products responsibly and educating them? Because, like, for example, the computer with the glasses sounds to me like you could go into a complete bubble and not socialize. Like, how are we educating people to responsibly use these new technologies?
I mean, there's only so much you can do. I'll just preface everything by saying there's only so much you can do. People are going to use technology in the ways that they find useful and productive to them, and that may not be to their benefit. I think it's more making sure that we emphasize time away from screens. I do agree. I am personally a big fan of augmented reality. I wish my glasses were smart. I wish I could see all sorts of things around me. But at the same time, do you really want to live in that tech world all the time? No. I would argue that even now, our third spaces, you know, where you're at work, you're at home, and then there's a third space where you socialize. Right now, that's online. That's Instagram. For children, it may be Roblox or Fortnite. So I think we're already there. I have to be honest with you. I think we're already there, and it's really on parents, communities, and also platforms to help de-incentivize that as much as possible.
I wish we'd sorted out a sponsorship deal ahead of this episode. For every time we said the word AI or the letters AI, we received a credit or two, a carbon credit maybe. AI to one side, and obviously that's going to be part of the conversation. It has to be. It has been for so long as well. Just trying to think of other things, because again, we say, okay, tech trends, immediately people are talking AI. What else are we looking at? Autonomous vehicles, we're talking a lot about the fact that we're going to see a lot more robo-taxis on our roads, potentially robo-helicopters as well. Again, is this miles ahead, or is this something we could see develop very quickly in 2026?
I mean, there's definitely progress on autonomous vehicles. We did see the eVTOL launch during last year. We did see that. So there's definitely movement on that front, but it is something that takes a lot of time. It's actually quite complicated. I mean, just think about autonomous cars, let alone autonomous flying taxis. I mean, it's a lot of work. So I don't know that it's going to immediately break down doors, but there's definitely development on those.
One more for you as well. And again, I'll sort of take myself away from that to something very traditional, which is bricks and mortar. Data centers is going to be, and we've heard so much about data centers, the amount of energy we're going to need to drive this future that we're talking about. Again, is that something that we will see more of? Or again, is that something behind the scenes that we'll see less of, data center growth?
In the region, there's already a lot of investment into AI data centers. I don't know that there is more coming down the line, but those projects are already underway. So we'll see progress on the existing projects. I will say in terms of energy, the UAE has done something really interesting where it does, it has put aside some solar energy specifically to power AI data centers, and that's really interesting. And I think that's also a really responsible approach to take because they are quite energy intensive. But that's a question for down the line, and I think those are the questions that we aim to ask. We don't have the answers yet. How much energy are they using? How much water are they using? How do we use AI in a way that's responsible and ethical and that feeds, real interests for people without harming the environment, without harming our mental health? I think those are questions that we have to ask, and there aren't really solid answers yet.
That's right, we've got 45 minutes to do it.
Okay, great.